trin le yar ngo da pege drolor zampe tse par chen palde lamme shabla solvade Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karm Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karm Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karm Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Kar Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasane Karma Uta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Jetsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Tseji Ningne Sowa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshune Ila Sambe Dede Malupa Geme Lungi Drupra Jingelo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shakpe Tse Dunge Namke Yinsu Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Zopa Dan Chira Nyetun Chanwara Jingelo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tukuntu Nyu Peme Siutru Lekshune chanchu drube geken kunshishi tungen de la drubraj dagi lona chola chokpa da chemi samjur ngemba shiwa da chedan tumbe dödön malupa beme lungi drubra jingil dorna tengne tsera tamche dan techi pardune kap tamche tu rese kyamne lama kele me tukje chengi dala siksu sol gongyab drewe nyamda dachala jetsun lame tuje rabgongne kudan sungi nawa dralme tu nyamsu nyongwe kesan toprasho kewa kuntu yanda lama dan drame cheki pe la longche chi sadan lamgi yende rabzone dorje changi kopa nyuruto besho pakyuke kudan dagi alo pakyuke sundan dagi ngak pakyuke tukdan dagi yi tenyerme chiktu chingi alo makyuke kudan dagi alo makyuke sundan dagi nga makyuke tukdan dagi yi tenyerme chiktu chingi alo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Soha Sa-shi Peki Chukshi Meto Chan Rirav Lingshi Nide Gemba Di Sangye Shindul Mikte Ulvar Ki Drukun Namda Shingla Chuparasho Yedam Guru Ratna Mandrala Kam Niryatayami Sangye Chedan Sogi Chonam La Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Jancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparasho In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni, possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. Laye ke dan lu dan lu jin ke drubon da da mi kenam dam. Rawa kungi da dranam chi tsampa teda tamche dagi cheten. Buongiorno. Good morning. So, generally speaking, in our lives, there is two aspects that are important in the most of the things that we do, which is intention, aspiration, and action. Normally, to do something, before practically physically doing it, we must wish for it. We must aspire for it. But there is these two phases. That is, first there is a moment in which there is simple desire. I want, because I like it, because I think it's beautiful, because I think it will bring me happiness and well-being, so I want it. Or I want to eliminate it because I think it's harmful, because I think it's generating suffering to myself or to my friends. And this is when we want something, or we want to avoid something, or we want to gain something. Okay? But this is the first step. The second part is, in order to do something truly to gain that or to avoid that, we must go through another process, which is believing that I can make it. Okay, I can do it. So I try. First, the attention is on the object. I want water. I am thirsty. I think water will eliminate my thirst. I think water will bring me pleasure. It's important for my health, whatever. So I see my need, and I see the benefit of water that will be able to satisfy my needs. So my attention goes to water, to the qualities of water, how important water is for me. So I want water, and all the attention is towards water. Okay? Or I don't want water, but it's towards the object. Before I do anything practical to get water, the attention needs to bounce back, needs to come back to us. And it says, can I get water? I really want it, but am I able to do it? Can I have it? Oh yes, it's not so expensive, I can have it. Oh yes, I know to whom to ask. Oh yes, I know what to do. So I believe that I can do what is necessary to get water. So I connect to myself, and there is a part which is connected to what can I do in order to get that object or to avoid that object. Okay? So first I go towards, it starts from me, from my needs. Then we connect our needs with the object, something that I must gain or I must avoid. Then we reconnect back to ourselves, saying, oh yes, I can do something. I'm able to gain it. I'm able to avoid it. To do this, I need this help. I need that help. I need to do this. I need to do that. But we come back to ourselves. I can make it. Then, once we believe that we can do, then we place in front of us a path, and we start to act. We start to walk in that direction. Okay? So, it starts from our need. Then we see in something an object that can satisfy our need. Then we come back to ourselves. We see our capacity to gain that object, which can be to gain something or to eliminate or to avoid something else. Okay? And then we go to the action to move towards the object. It goes out of being just an aspiration, a need, an aspiration, desire, self-esteem, trust that I can make it. Then this transforms into physical action to get what I want or to avoid what I want. Okay? Is it clear, this process? No? We make one practical example. I feel thirst. If I don't feel thirst, I would not look for water. So I feel my need. I am thirsty. And I don't like being thirsty. So what can help me to eliminate my thirst? Oh, there is water. Once I drank water and it helped me. So what I will do, I will look for water. Where can I get water? I want water. Once then I connect myself to water, water can truly help me, it's the best for me, and so on. Then I come back to myself. Can I get the water? Do I have the resources to find water? Am I able to walk all the kilometers to get to the water source? Do I have the money to buy the water bottle? Or do I have the possibility to go and turn the tap? Whatever, what I need to do to gain the object. Sometimes we don't even think much about it because it's very simple and easy. But I need to think I can make it. Then once I can make it, then I move physically by making choices and actions and interactions. I go towards the object. I start walking. I start calling someone, oh, I need some water. I start doing whatever is necessary to go to gain the water. Okay? So, the first part is traditionally called fear and faith. I fear thirst and I have faith in water. Okay? Out of fear of thirst and faith in water, I develop an aspirational intention to gain water. Then I come back to myself and I see, can I make it? Yes, I can do it. And this is called higher intention. Or it is also called the, the mind of action. Or engaged mind, in which I recognize my own I can make it, so now I will do the action. Okay? So when we start acting, then we're actually on the path to gain our result, which is to eliminate the thirst by drinking the water. Okay? So it's quite clear, right? Okay. So, in the same way that we can see our need, which we call, okay, I want to eliminate suffering or I want to gain pleasure, and so I project it on something, the same thing can also happen in relation to others. Because the only difference between selfishness and altruism is where this same attraction to happiness and aversion to suffering is directed. I want to be happy, I don't want to suffer. As much as I want to be happy, I also want you to be happy. As much as I don't want to suffer, I also don't want you to suffer. Okay? So, as we go through the process of developing bodhicitta, no? If we go back to the different verses that we went through, okay, we have been developing gradually actually an inner state of, first of all, developing fear and faith. Okay? Which is fear of what? Fear is not really, it is not a best translation, but what do I want to avoid? The suffering in general. Mine and others. But when I start to see the suffering of others and care for others, this becomes even stronger. Okay? So that's what I want to avoid. Then I start, this is the first step. I need to care for others. I need truly to be able to avoid the suffering of others. So this is the first step that we are. We are not yet in the step of believing what can be done to help them. Faith. We are not yet on that step. That step is going to be generated here. We have the verse of today is talking about that, which is basically verse 99. Okay? So, the whole process that we have gone through, which starts in verse 89, these 10 verses, is connected to first of all us being able to see others and care for others. Okay? So, to do that for ourselves is quite easy, no? Okay, if we have a cut, we want to avoid that cut. We don't want to suffer. So we already naturally, spontaneously don't want to suffer ourselves. The problem that we have is that what we understand normally in our life as suffering, it's very superficial. For us, suffering is the suffering of suffering, which means the physical suffering and the mental suffering. This is what we call suffering. And we do not recognize as suffering, as something to avoid, the situations and the behaviors and the objects that actually cannot sustain a state of well-being. It's like when we say suffering is things that we need to avoid because will make us feel bad. So for example, imagine one food that you really, really don't like. Okay? And if you eat it, it harms you. Okay? So, I don't know. For example, for me, if I think about something very greasy, if I eat, I get nausea and it harms me physically. Okay? So it's easy to avoid it because I don't like the taste and I know it's harmful to me. But what about the nice mozzarella cheese that I really like? But it's also very harmful to me. Should I avoid it as much as the other one or not? Following some logical. I would say yes, right? And what about the other cheeses that are also harmful to me, but I really like? You know? I like very much. There is one cheese which is the camembert de bufala. It's really very nice cheese. Okay? But if I eat it, after I have many issues, I have my belly get very swollen and I get diarrhea and so on because I have this problem with lactose. Okay. So, it's much more easy to avoid that which brings me immediate suffering and later suffering also. So that which has a bad taste and harms my health is very easy to avoid. But that has a good taste and is harmful to myself is much more difficult to avoid. But if we use the minimum logic, we don't need to be using a very high philosophical logic. I'm talking about very simple basic logics. When I see that food, it's harmful to me because every time I ate it, I am not well physically afterwards. And I did all the exams, and the exams are showing to me that actually I am intolerant to it. Okay? I know it. I understood it. This what is telling me I should not eat it. Right? So, everything that it appears as pleasurable, but that actually it's not able to sustain a state of happiness, no? Actually, it's what we call suffering of change. Okay? So the second level of, let's say, maturity regarding our own suffering is that on the first time we look at our suffering and say, oh, I don't want to have physical or mental suffering. The second level would be, I don't want to suffer, but I'm also going to avoid everything that is pleasurable, but that will bring me suffering. I cannot project my happiness in only having good taste. I need actually to do what is beneficial for me in the middle long term. Because if I simply indulge myself in physical pleasure, it will be very nice at the moment, but then I need to pay the price afterwards. Okay? We can have many examples of this. Okay? So, this is what we call making it simple when we understand the suffering of change. I avoid projecting my happiness in what cannot sustain it. So I want to avoid that also. Third level, I understand that the problem is not the cheese. The problem is my body. The problem is my mind. To be precise, going out of the metaphor, the problem is having my body and mind polluted by my own karma and my own defilements. As long as I have selfishness, anger, jealousy, envy, and all of that, and I have the karma of the previous negative actions I have done, I will experience reality through that. And so I will suffer. So, what do I want to avoid ultimately? Having a body and a mind that is polluted by defilements and karma. Okay? So this means wanting to avoid the so-called all-pervasive suffering. So, this is one of the very important steps that we need to do on our path. So I want to avoid these three levels of suffering and gradually go from one to the other. The other thing is we need to make a connection between suffering and the causes of suffering. It's not enough just to eliminate the symptoms. We must eliminate the causes. It's not enough just to take a pill for the headache. I need to eliminate the cause of the headache. Okay? So, as we go, if we just go back to verse 84 and we just go quickly looking at the steps of the path, we start by relying upon someone that can guide us on this path to happiness and to well-being, so-called path to enlightenment. Then once we rely upon someone and we are able to relate correctly to our guru or to our gurus, then we start the actual path. First, we recognize the preciousness of this opportunity that we have in this life. How precious this life is. Now, we don't go into details, we just touch the subjects, okay? Once we understand that, then second, verse 86, we actually understand, it's still verse 85, we understand that this incredibly precious life that we have, this opportunity which is called with richness and endowments, freedom and endowments, it is actually something that will end soon. In other words, I will die. And I have no idea what will come after that. So I must take good care of what I have now. At least I must do something to ensure that this good opportunity, that these good conditions I have now will continue to be sustained. Okay? So what do I do for that? This is verse 86. I recognize that what I will experience in my future is a result of my present, so I choose consciously to act in a way that is of benefit for my future. So I will avoid what is harmful and I will cultivate what is beneficial, independently of the fact that is easy or difficult, is pleasant or unpleasant. So I will start not making choices because it is pleasant or because it is easy. I will start making choices because it is beneficial and because that's the best thing to do for myself and others. Okay, so if I need to choose between the easy and the beneficial, which one I choose? The one that is of more benefit, even though it may be more difficult. If I need to choose between pleasurable and meaningful, which one I choose? Meaningful. The best is to find the one that is pleasurable and meaningful and easy. That's the top. Okay? But it can happen once we get so familiarized with virtue. If you take a higher bodhisattva to act in a virtuous way, it's pleasurable, it's easy, and it's meaningful and beneficial. Okay? But we are not yet there, most probably, because of our own habits. No? As Shantideva said in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, Komna lawar migyurwe ngote kaya yemai. There is nothing that is not easy once we get used to it. So we need to get used to it. We need to familiarize ourselves to it. That's why we start by abandoning what is harmful and cultivating what is beneficial. Then next step, we start to look deeper and we start to understand that our suffering is not just the suffering of suffering, it's actually the all-pervasive suffering. We start to understand that it's not enough just to have temporary good conditions and a beautiful life and with good things. As long as we are not free from our own defilements and our own karma, this cycle called samsara, there will be a lot of suffering. So, we develop this strong, deep intention to be free from the cycle of suffering. And we believe that we can make it. It's not a wish in which you say, oh, you help me to get out. I can get out. I want to get out. I need to get out, but I think I can make it. So I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Please help me. Buddha show me the path. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the actual method and path to get out of samsara. I take refuge in the Dharma. And I can take refuge in the Sangha, which is the spiritual company that will give me support on that path. Okay, and I take refuge in the Guru, that is for me the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So, with this we develop the wish to gain liberation. We want so much to get out of samsara. It becomes our main priority. Okay? When our absolute priority is to get out of samsara, this is what we call ngechung, which is called, translated sometimes as renunciation. More precise, definitive emergence, not in the sense of there is an emergency, but in the sense that we can emerge, we can get out of. Okay? So when we have this strong feeling, I want to get out of this cycle of samsara, and I can make it. Okay? Because we recognize that our suffering is in this inner cycle. Then we see that this inner cycle, we cannot stop all the karma. We need to eliminate the defilements. The defilements are coming from ignorance. So until we don't cut ignorance, they will continue to manifest. But in order to eliminate ignorance, I need to develop wisdom. In order to develop wisdom in a non-conceptual, deeper level, I must have good concentration and ability to direct my mind in the correct way. And in order to do that, I must have emotional stability. You know, we will never be able to go into deep levels of meditation if we don't have emotional stability. Because if I try to meditate, but I am angry, and I go to meditate, and before meditating I see someone and I listen to a message or something happen, and then I get nervous. Or I have the worries about what is going to happen tomorrow, and I am anxious. Or I am so sad about what have happened 2 weeks ago, or 5 years ago. I go to meditate, and then I see an image, and then I remember what have happened, and how come you did that to me. Forget about meditating. Truly. So to be able to have one's own mind under one's own control, to direct it and to bring it to a state of peace, through which it's possible to develop deeper samadhi, deeper states of consciousness with wisdom, first we must have some emotional stability. That's why we need to first train ourselves in so-called morality. So we need to first develop emotional stability. So we need to deal with jealousy, with envy, with anger, with insatisfaction, with fear, with all the other emotion roller coasters in which we are. Once the roller coaster stops, then we can actually find our own emotional stability. And then once we have some emotional stability, then we can actually develop good concentration. And then with that we can actually develop wisdom. Wisdom is not conceptual. Wisdom is a deep state of consciousness that realizes the true nature of reality, non-conceptually. Okay? So here we commit ourselves, because I want to get out of samsara, and the only way to get out of samsara is by eliminating ignorance, by developing wisdom in a non-conceptual way. Then I must first be able to concentrate and meditate well on it. It's not enough just to understand it. And in order to do that, I must have some control of my mind, to be able to place my mind single-pointedly on one object peacefully and joyfully. In order to be able to do that, I must be able to be in peace with myself. In order to do that, I must create some emotional stability. And for that, I need to deal with my defilements. I need to create positive habits and eliminate my negative habits. Okay? So I need to practice love, compassion, generosity, satisfaction, trust, faith, and so on, in order to eliminate the fear, the miserliness, the arrogance, the jealousy, the envy, the anger, and all of that. So for that I need to practice what is called the 3 higher trainings. Train myself in morality, in concentration, and in wisdom. Okay? The so-called training myself in morality, it is actually the part of generating emotional stability. Okay? So, with this we commit ourselves that we will practice everything which is necessary to generate this emotional stability. To that we need to accumulate merits. We need to do all that is necessary so that we can develop higher concentration, through which we can develop higher wisdom, so that we can get out of the cycle of samsara. We make that path clear to us and we develop that strong intention. Okay? So this is verse 88. When we have that intention, it's when we have actually developed so-called renunciation. Okay, this certainty that I want to get out of samsara, but as we explained in the beginning today, I see my need. I am suffering. And I see my own cycle of anger, jealousy, envy, selfishness, ignorance, and then actions of body, speech, and mind that manifest as suffering, that I react with defilements, and I see this inner cycle of samsara. Then I look and I see, oh, there is the possibility of liberation from samsara. How? By developing true wisdom. It's possible. Then I come back to myself and I say, I can make it. For that, I need to have emotional stability, true morality. I must develop concentration, and then I need to meditate deeply on the true nature of reality so that I can develop that wisdom. Okay? We see this process looking towards us, looking towards the object, and then we come back to us and we move towards the object. Okay? So I recognize my own samsara. Then I see nirvana. Then I come back to myself and I say, I can reach nirvana through the path to liberation. And then I start walking on the path. Okay? So with this we have concluded one part of the path. Now we go to the next part, which is that we need to change object. Okay? But what is interesting is that this new object cannot be generated without the previous one. Okay? So, when we look at other people, normally we always judge the other person through our own experiences. So when we see someone acting, we think, why is this person doing that? Normally, how do we judge? If I would do that, why would I do it? Oh, so the person is doing because of that reason. Or not? That's how we are normally, most of the times. We look to others and we try to understand others through our own reality, through ourselves. That's very common, okay? So we are not able to wish for someone that we love something that, first of all, we are not able to wish it for ourselves. I cannot wish something good for you if I don't see it as good. Okay? So, the next step is that we start to see other beings. we start to move our attention from oneself to everyone, which includes ourselves. So we don't take out the object from ourselves to others. We expand it from ourselves towards others. Okay, there is a very big difference between these two. One thing is I move the attention from me to someone else. Another thing is I expand it from me to include others. Okay, it's clear the difference. So do I want to get out of my samsara? Yes, no doubt. But I start to allow myself to see others until I am able to see the samsara in others. And I wish you to be free from your all-pervasive suffering as much as I wish me to be free from mine. Okay, that's the objective where we need to reach. So, in order first to have the, we look at ourselves, then we look at the object, we look at our need, then we look at an object that can solve it, then we come back to ourselves saying, I can make it, and then we move towards that object. This process is clear, right? No? As we said before, I am thirsty, water can help me, I can get water, I go towards water. Okay? I see my own suffering as samsara. I don't want to be anymore in samsara. I see the state of liberation, which is by realizing wisdom, which is possible. I come back to myself, I say, I can make it. And then I walk towards samsara by practicing the three higher, towards nirvana, by practicing the three higher trainings: morality, concentration, and wisdom. Okay? Now, what we need to do is that when we look towards ourselves, we need to expand the object. And this is the first very important step. So to do that, we must be able to see others, to feel the need of others, until the need of others becomes our needs. Because it's not something conceptual. It's something that comes from deep in our heart. Okay? So we do that through two processes. One which is called the 7 causes and results. And the other one is called equalizing and exchanging self with others. Okay? We have talked a lot about this all these days. Okay? So in verse 89, it is the part in which we start to connect with other beings. We made the example when we were explaining it, in which we visualize 3 people in front of us, one that we like, one that we don't like, one that is neutral. And then, first of all, we start to feel equanimity, how each one of them wishes to be happy, doesn't want to suffer in the same way as us and the others. So we first develop equanimity. Then after that, we develop gratitude towards our own mother. Then we develop gratitude towards our father, towards our friends, towards everyone that helps us in this life. Then we start to look to everyone else and say, okay, the 3 people in front of us, but you in other lives have also been my mother, have also been my father, have also been my lover, my friend, my teacher, so many things. And you have given me so much in the past that I cannot even describe. So we start to feel connected to others. Then we feel the gratitude. Then we want to repay back the kindness. Then we develop the wish that the other may be happy, truly. Then we want them to stop suffering, and we allow us to see the samsara in others. Okay? And in order to help that, we do also the practice of equalizing and exchanging self with others. Here we do the 2 things together. Okay? So, we see that there is no difference between us and others. And others, remember, is the 3 people in front of us. We don't need to think about the whole universe. 3 people that we know, one that we don't know actually, or we know but we are indifferent, and we need to start to feel. There is no difference between us. And then gradually we allow ourselves to expand this wish, this attraction to happiness to the other person. We allow us to expand this wish not to suffer, this aversion to sufferings to the other. And we look to the other and we say, your happiness is important as my happiness is important. I want to be happy, yes. Do I want you to be happy? Yes. No difference. My suffering, it's important. I don't want to suffer. Your suffering is important. I don't want you to suffer as much as I don't want myself to suffer. We allow ourselves to feel that. And then we start to practice the Tonglen, the practice of giving and taking. First we do from ourselves. We take from ourselves of the past of the suffering, we give joy. Then we take from the suffering of ourselves of the future, and then we give joy and happiness. And then we start to do that with others. Okay? No? And in order to be able to do that well, as we go to verse 91, we recognize that selfishly speaking, it's better to be altruistic. We see that actually selfishness is the cause of all suffering. Then we go to see the benefits of love and kindness, of unconditional love. Then we start actually to do the exchange of self with others, which is an exchange of attitude. Okay, so we do the practice of Tonglen, first visualizing ourself of the past and then ourself of the future. When we are in peace with our past and future and present, then we start caring for others. Okay, so we take the suffering of others upon us. That eliminates our own selfishness in the center of our heart. We give them joy and happiness and merits and everything else. Okay? So with this we do the practice of Tonglen. Okay? In the middle of all of this, the next verses remind us of the other points of mind training, such as transforming the adverse circumstances into the path to enlightenment, applying the practice in our whole life, in every aspect of our life, understanding when our mind have been actually trained or not, and then we go through the path of making the commitments and following the advices on the path of transforming our mind from a selfish to an altruistic state of mind. Okay? So as we go through this, we imagine that we are able to do that process more and more. Then we reach verse 99, which is the one that we have reached today. Verse 99 is that in which actually we start to look back to ourselves and we say, up to here, verse 98, we were still looking at the object, which is the suffering and happiness of all sentient beings. First, we need to be able to feel it. We need to be able to say, I don't want it. I can see it. Anyone that I see, I don't want you to be in samsara. But I cannot wish you to be free from samsara if I don't wish myself to be free from samsara. That's why the previous step was necessary. Then now we expand that object towards others, so I don't want you to be free from, you to be in samsara, and I don't want the other one also. In the same way. Okay? So when I have that very strong part, we have completed one part of the process, which is recognizing one's own need. Now we still have two parts. The object that can solve, and then the determination that I can make before I start to walk on the path. This first step of seeing the suffering of everyone is just like recognizing I don't want to be thirsty. I still need to look upon water. Okay? So, this will come in verse 99, which is called generating a superior intention and then generating bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. So the verse says, Tonglen long la gyempe truldek chen chamda ninjel hakpe sambayi dronam sitso chele trove chir janchu semni jomwar chingi lob. In order to rescue all beings from the vast seas of existence, which is the object, we seek your blessings to become adept in bodhicitta through a pure selfless wish and by love and compassion, conjoined with the visual technique of mounting, giving and taking upon the breath. Which means, in order to help all sentient beings to get out of suffering, what I need to do, I need to reach enlightenment. So in order to eliminate thirst, what do I need? To drink water. So up to here, we have actually seen the suffering of others, and we have developed this strong intention that I don't want anyone to suffer. But it comes with a very strong frustration. What can I do to eliminate the suffering of others? When we see one person suffering by our side, one's own son or daughter, one's own father or mother, one's own friend, companion, anyone. It doesn't matter how much near this person is to us. Are we able to eliminate his or her suffering? Yes or no? Can we interact with this person in a way that we can support and help that person? Yes. Not easy, but yes. But very often we find ourselves looking towards the other person's suffering, and sometimes we are able even to see the dynamics in which the other person is, from inner process and interaction with the outer world, and how this whole suffering is coming. And we see that we are not able to help the other person truly. It's very common that when we want so much someone to stop suffering, we may feel very impotent, very incapable of doing anything. So imagine having this strong wish that everyone that we know gets out of suffering, but not only superficial suffering, get out of samsara. How frustrating that may be. I believe it's very frustrating. It's like being thirsty, seeing everyone thirsty around, and not seeing any perspective of a way how to eliminate thirst. It's very frustrating. So this is where comes the object. Okay? What can we do towards anyone? The only thing that anyone can do to help anyone is to interact with that other being in a way that that other person can help him or herself. There is no other way around. I cannot take away your anger. I cannot take away your ignorance. I cannot take away your selfishness. I cannot give to you love. I cannot give to you in the sense to put inside of you love. I cannot put into you satisfaction, joy, peace, wisdom. No one can do that. Buddha himself said very clearly, I cannot take away your suffering as if you would clean away the dirt with a broom, sweep away the dirt with a broom. I cannot take away your defilements such as you can clean the cloth with water. You can take away the stain with water. What I can do is I can show to you what you need to cultivate and what you need to abandon. and then you must do it for yourself. Okay? So, the only thing that anyone can do to help anyone else is interact with them in a way that that person that is not well can do something that will help him or herself to be better. Okay? But we can only help someone that actually has a similar way of us of seeing reality. Because I can only make you understand something if I speak your language. And it's the one that helps that needs to adapt to the one that is being helped. No? It's like if I come to someone of you and I say, "Ta kyoran tinde machedas. Kyoran ngone chena tamborani. Ta ngone tane ta tongni tona mado shimbayo mare. Chö tamche tokpe takzamre. Ane kira ran chinzin chena di dunge mado yoye mare. Ta chö tamche tokpe takzam di kiran tambo chena. Ane ngone tane gi tujungi shera la tene. An tamo drup gogre. Ditsane. Ane gomjungi shera, samjungi sherab che. Jebat semak chi kia gogre. Jebat semak kia chane. Kia tsane. Ane tsutim ya taba ya tajo sungne. Ane gom yawa gyap tinge zin drup. Shine dal hakton drup. Ane tene chene kali chene. Ane tonyu tobel hakton. Shine che tonyu tobel hakton. Chene kali tonyu ngosum tuto. Ane shine tarban tartugres. I have given you the solution. You have not understood, that's not my problem. So I will go and I say, I did everything to help. I explained everything the person needs to do. But I didn't speak your language. So, if I want to help you, I must speak your language. And here I'm not talking about speaking Tibetan, English, Italian, or Japanese. I'm talking about showing reality according to your own mentality. I can only guide you to develop my own paradigm through your paradigm. I cannot force someone to change paradigm. I can only make you to see my reality through your reality. I cannot impose on you my reality. Is this clear? So we can help better those that speak our language. Those that have a similar way of seeing reality, that comes from a similar culture, that have a similar background, that have similar ways of seeing things. It's much easier to understand those that speak the same languages as we do. The problem is that very few people do speak the same language as us. So, what is one of the basic characteristics to be able to help others? To learn many languages. And again, this is a metaphor, the word language itself, but I must understand, I must see you, and I must be able to see how you experience reality. Because what most of us do is when we see the other, we are just seeing a reflection of our own perception. I'm not able to see truly you. So I must be able to see you. I must be able to see how you experience reality. And from that, I can interact, choosing the right way to help you to change your perception, to change your reality, and gradually to become like me. Okay, this is what we can do. But to do that, first, if I want to make you to see realities as I see, first I must make sure that I see reality correctly. because I cannot take you to a place that I have not yet been. Second, I must make sure that I'm able to see you and that I'm able to understand your way of seeing reality and that I can interact in the most wise way to show you the path. Okay? So from here we get the intention. What do I need? I need to get out of samsara. Because I cannot help you to do something that I have not yet done myself. But what we find out is getting out of samsara is not enough. Because if I get out of samsara, but I do not become a Buddha, it means that I myself, I have the most beautiful view of reality, and I am fine. But I do not speak all languages. I must be able to adapt to the need and capacity of each one. And the only state of being which is able to see and understand everyone is a so-called Buddha. It's only by eliminating ignorance and the imprints of ignorance, by developing the wisdom that not only sees reality in a coherent way, but experiences reality constantly in a coherent way, in a non-conceptual way, I can actually see everyone. Because in few words, someone that is not yet a Buddha, when sees others, perceives reality still through mental images. Which means I see you and I think I project on you an image of what I think you are. Okay? A Buddha doesn't do that. A Buddha has a direct perception of everything. And by seeing me, by seeing you, without a projection, the Buddha sees the reality that I see through my own eyes. By seeing me, the Buddha sees what is the reality that I experience. So a Buddha, one of the most important qualities of a Buddha is the capacity to see and understand everyone without any fault. And by that, the Buddha is able to understand what is the right way to adapt and to interact with each and everyone. And this is the only way truly to help everyone. There is no other way. No? So why do I want to be a Buddha? For me personally, it would be enough to get out of samsara, or not? Would you be happy just to get out of samsara for yourself? For us, personally, I think it's more than enough. You know? But when we start to see the suffering of others, when we start truly to expand our own love and care and compassion, and we start to see everyone around, then what's the point? You know? It's like just getting myself out of samsara and not being able to help others. It's like if everyone is burning like hell, I get out myself, I am in a very comfortable place, eating nice food, receiving a good massage, while I look to everyone burning. Can I relax? Is that what I want? No. I want to be able to truly help everyone in the best way. So I developed a strong intention towards my object. I must become a Buddha. So then I come back to myself and I say, I must do something about this. And when we look towards Buddhahood, and then we come back to us and we say, I must do something, in the beginning we do not have enough trust that we can actually make it. because we are not putting to ourselves a small objective. As we understand that our mind is interdependent, we are not ignorant in an inherently existing way, which means our problem is that we exist within a negative interdependence. If we start gradually to invert that and generate a positive interdependence, and we are able to enter into this virtuous cycle, then we can actually eliminate our defilements until we can actually eliminate ignorance, and we can become a Buddha ourselves. So by trusting and believing into that, then we develop this deep, strong intention looking back towards enlightenment. I not just want to become a Buddha, I will become a Buddha. I trust myself that I can make it. Okay? And this means to develop so-called bodhicitta. Higher intention means, or supreme intention means, I must help everyone. Exactly how, I am not yet sure. I must help everyone. And when we develop this supreme intention, there is this anxiety and this uncomfortable feeling that may come together, because I want to help, but I don't know how truly. Then I look towards enlightenment and I see the state of Buddhahood. That is the only way that I can truly help everyone. No? If we make a very simple example, one person highly realized, such as Lama Michel Rinpoche, how many lives Rinpoche touched in his lifetime? How much benefit he brought that we could see? You can multiply by millions that ones that we cannot see. Okay? So one person with high realizations of love and wisdom, one Buddha manifest into a physical body, can bring immense benefit. So I want to be like that. I want to be a Buddha. I want to be able to manifest myself in whatever way is necessary, and really interact and touch people's heart, and touch beings' heart and mind, and direct themselves to enlightenment and guide them from life to life until they are completely out of samsara. I will make it. So I look towards the state of Buddha and I say, I will become a Buddha myself. It doesn't matter what it takes. It's going to be long. Yes. But I will make it. I will make it. It doesn't matter what. That's my only priority. Okay? So I will use the practice of Tonglen to develop this strong intention. I will use the methods of the 7 cause and result, of equalizing and exchanging oneself with others. But through that, we imagine that we develop this deep, strong aspiration. I must become a Buddha myself. Is it clear that the wish to become a Buddha, the wish to reach enlightenment, is a result of wanting to help others? Because if we think only for ourselves, we get out of samsara. That's more than enough. You know? That's why when we do the verse Kyonyi Lama Kyonyi Yidam, there is a part which says, Sishi jiktrol, ngodru kunso tengetrolso parcho sum, Sishi jiktrol, liberate me from the fears of samsara and nirvana. The fear of samsara is samsara itself. The fear of nirvana is wanting nirvana only for one's own sake. It's developing this attachment, I just want to get out of samsara and I don't care about others. Free me from that also. Okay? So here, as we open our heart towards others, as we are in our meditation, we visualize that 3 persons, that we see that there is no difference between them. We wish each and every one of them to be happy. And then we don't need to
to visualize all sentient beings. 3 is more than enough. And when we see that tree and we say, I want to help you to get out of samsara. How can I do that? Truly. I must become a Buddha myself. So as we look to the other, we develop this urge. I must become a Buddha myself in order to help you to get out of samsara. There is no other way. Because unless I am a Buddha myself, I can give small helps, but I cannot give ultimate help. I can adapt a little bit here, I can adapt a little bit there. I can give food, I can give affection, I can give physical help, I can share knowledge, but I cannot touch your heart and your mind deeply to help you to develop wisdom. I cannot touch your heart and your mind deeply to help you to develop love and compassion, because I have not done yet that myself, and I'm not able to see reality through your eyes. So in the meantime, I will help in whatever way I can. In the meantime, I will give you food, I will give you help of physical support, I will help you with knowledge, I will share everything I have, and I will help in every way possible in the meantime. But my main objective is I must become a Buddha myself. Okay? In one of the most important texts of Buddhist literature, called the Abhisamaya Lankara, which is called Ornament of Clear Realization, which was written by Asanga, taught by Buddha Maitreya. Asanga went to the Pure Land of Tushita, where he received the teachings from Buddha Maitreya. It's a commentary on the Sutra of Perfection of Wisdom of Buddha Shakyamuni. Anyhow, this is the basis of all Lamrim, coming from this text. Was also the first teachings that Atisha received when going to Guru Suvarnadipa in Indonesia. In this text, when it talks about bodhicitta, it explains. It says in Tibetan, Semke pani shentun chir yandak dzogpe chanchubde. Semke pani, the generation of the mind, intended the mind of enlightenment. Semke pani shentun chir is for the benefit of others. So the generation of the mind of enlightenment comes from the wish to benefit others. Yanda dzogpe chanchup de. That wishes, that desires, de. Chanchup, enlightenment. Yanda dzogpe, the complete pure state of enlightenment. So what is bodhicitta? Is that is the generation of the state of consciousness that in order to help others, desires to reach the ultimate state of enlightenment of a Buddha. Okay? So, this is what we call about bodhicitta. It's very important for us to see the process. First, I don't want to suffer. Then I gradually start to see samsara myself. Then I develop a strong intention myself to get out of samsara. Then I start to open my heart to others and I start to see others. Until my suffering and the suffering of others is equal, no difference. And I wish everyone to be free from suffering. Then I see that just as I am, I'm not able to do much. So I look forward and I see what is the only solution. I must become a Buddha myself. And then I make this commitment. Okay? Is it quite clear, the process? Okay? With this, it is said that the Bodhisattva in the beginning, in the very beginning, afterwards it gets better, it's not so pleasurable. It is said that the bodhisattva in the beginning is like having a boat that it's a beautiful boat, but it's not yet in water. So you need to push it on the ground. Once the bodhisattva realizes wisdom, then it's like the boat enters in water. Okay? But until then, we need to put effort. Okay? So we have seen the steps. I am thirsty. I recognize water as the solution. I want water. Now, what happens? What do I do to get water? I need to do something practically. Otherwise, it remains just an intention. So here there are two types of bodhicittas, of mind of enlightenment. What is called in Tibetan Mönpa Semkye and Gelugpa Semkye. Mönpa Semkye is the generation of the mind, or bodhicitta, of aspiration, or aspirational bodhicitta. Gelugpa Semkye is the engaged mind of enlightenment, the engaged bodhicitta. If we make the metaphor, is the first state is, I want so much water, and I can make it. I will get water. But I don't start walking yet towards the water source. I want very much, but I'm not really doing anything to get the water. I just want it. It becomes an engaged aspiration when actually I start to make my first step towards the water source. Okay? So, verse 100. Tusum gyawa kungi drochik lam namdak gyalse dompa gyu tam shings tekcho tsultrin sumgi nyamle la tsumpa lurlen chebra chingi lob. We seek your blessings so that we may eagerly endeavor to put into practice the three Mahayana moral codes, and restrain our mind stream with pure bodhisattva vows, the single path journeyed by all the victorious ones of the 3 times. Okay? So basically what we do here is we say, there is a path to follow. This is the path that all the bodhisattvas that have become Buddha have gone through. It's the same path. And I will make it myself. This is the path of called developing the perfections, the paramitas. Is the path in which I need to perfect generosity, morality, patience, joyful effort, concentration, and wisdom. I see this path, and there are commitments on this path. And I will keep the commitments. I will follow this path. It doesn't matter what it takes. Okay? So not only first on the previous verse, it's the moment in which we look towards enlightenment and I say, I must become a Buddha. Now we look towards the path and I say, okay, to get there is a long path to do, but I will make it. No? It's like there is this beautiful prayer which is part of the 6th session Guru Yogas. Lama gyawa sechenam dala gombar deduso jidar ngungi desheki janchu tu nike batan janchu sembe labala deta rinshi ne batar dagyan drola pendutu janchu sem nike gishin janchu sembe labala rimba shindu labar ki. It says, Lama gyawa sechenam dala gombar deduso, or Lama gyawa sechenam Guru, Buddha, and Bodhisattvas, please pay attention to me. Dala gombar says, Jitar ngungi desheki janchu tu nikebada janchu sembe labala tetarinshi nebatar. Just as all the Buddhas in the past generated the state of bodhicitta, 제달 ngungi deshigi janju tu ni kepadas, janju sembe laba la detar inshine patar. And as they practiced the path to enlightenment, they kept the vows of the bodhisattvas, and they followed the path of the bodhisattva to enlightenment, and by that they have reached the ultimate state of enlightenment. Teta rinshin nebatar, dagyan drola pendutu, also myself, for the benefit of all sentient beings, dagyan drola pendutu, janju semni kegishin, I generate the ultimate intention to become a Buddha myself. Janju semni kegishin, janju sembe labala, teta rinshin nebatar. In the same way, I will also practice the path and the precepts of the bodhisattvas. Dagyan rola pendo tu janju semni kegishin, janju sembe labala dedarinshin nebatar, dagyan rola pendo tu janju semni kegishin, janju sembe labala rimba shintu labar ki. So I also generate the state, the mind that wishes to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and I commit myself to follow the same path. So we look towards all the Buddhas, to the Guru, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and we say, the same path that have been followed by the past, I will make it myself also. Okay? When we look to all the images, Buddha Shakyamuni, and we have all the other holy images. Now, if I look there, I said the Nagarjuna and the 84 Mahasiddhas, and we look Lama Tsongkhapa, and we look all the great masters, Milarepa, all the great masters and Buddhas of the past. We look towards them and we say, I can see the path that you followed. It's like if we look to the ground and we see the mark of the footsteps. It's like one time, many years ago, I was in Nepal and we went for a ride in elephants. And there was something very interesting. The elephants would go with their trunk, and they were it's like if they were smelling, and they were able to put their foot exactly in the same identical place of the previous elephant. It was very interesting to see this big animal so precise. And they would put exactly in the same place. It was a little bit mountain, it was not so easy, and they would go exactly in the same place. So imagine that we have a whole path to follow, and we can see where the ones that went before us walked through. It's like when we go to the forest and there is a path that many people walked already through that path. If we look at a big, thick forest and we don't see any path that other people went through, it's more frightening. But if we see a pathway that others have already walked through it, so it's marked, then we can connect all of that. I say, all of you that have gone through this path, you are all in the same place where I find myself right now. And you walk through the path and you reach the top of the mountain. So the same path that you took, I will also take myself. Okay? So I will follow that path. So this path, the guidelines for this path are the so-called vows of the Bodhisattva. Okay? We could go into details by reading and going through the Bodhisattva vows. That will make a little bit more detail and long. But in essence, the vows of the Bodhisattva are never to give up love and compassion on others. That's the essence of the Bodhisattva vows. Okay? Rinpoche wrote a beautiful text which is called the Mahayana Self-Healing, in which there are all the Bodhisattva vows very beautifully put. So I advise you to read it also. Okay? But the commitment that we made here, the state of mind that we put is say, I see this path in front of me and I will follow it. Okay, we are generating this strong intention. Then one moment we take courage and we start to put the first foot on the path. Okay, that's verse 101. Okay, so making it simple, the path is on the basis of love. We should perfect the other 6 qualities. Okay, so-called paramitas. Let me just check one thing in the commentary. Okay. In essence, here, we commit ourselves to abandon everything that is unvirtuous. We commit ourselves to go to look at our own eyes and to deal with our own defilements. We commit ourselves to cultivate what is positive and virtuous, to develop our qualities, to accumulate merits, to purify all negativities, never to abandon any sentient being from our heart, always to put effort in what is virtuous, okay, and always to practice and train ourselves in wisdom. So we commit ourselves to give priority to the path to enlightenment. Then once we commit that clearly, we have developed what is called the bodhicitta of intention, and we have done the basis for the engaging bodhicitta, which is this true deep wish to put into practice the path to enlightenment. Okay? In the Bodhisattva Charyavatara it says, "Drawer döden, drawer yi." The wish to walk and the actual walking. Okay? So, I was just thinking a little bit, because at this point, or we open one door and we go around into it, and that's quite a long path, or we just show the door and we move on, which is, or we go through the detailed study and learning of all the bodhisattva vows, which is a whole subject, or we just touch the essence of the bodhisattva vows and we move on to the other perfections. Okay? I think what the best to do is we just look at the door, we have some understanding what is inside there, and we commit ourselves that in a near future we can actually go through all the detailed bodhisattva vows. But then it's also good to prepare something that everyone can have printed with what are the bodhisattva vows. We go to Rinpoche's text of Mahayana self-healing. There is also very beautiful commentary on the bodhisattva vows written by Rinpoche's previous life, Panchasampotashi, that we also have the book which we edit of Panchasampotashi. So we could use this material and we can go in details on that. Okay? So, in the Guru Puja, at this moment, what we do is that at least we develop this strong intention to say, we imagine that there is a path in front of us and we say, I will follow that path. which is the same one that all the Buddhas of the past have done. It's a very interesting feeling because, like some time ago, I went to walk in the forest, and I was in a place that I had never been before. And I start to walk. I had no idea really where I was going. But I trusted the path because I saw a clear pathway in front of me. And I had a map that somehow showed me more or less where I was going. I had some idea. But the fact that I had a path in front of me that other people passed before me, it gave me trust. Similar to that, we need to understand that the pathway that we have is the same that all our gurus and masters of the path and all the Buddhas have followed exactly that same path. And I am also going to make it. Okay? So, let's start looking a little bit on this path. This path, we will understand it more and more as we go along. There is many aspects of it. But the essence is based on the 6 perfections, on the basis of love. Okay, so first we develop love and compassion, bodhicitta. Then we start walking on the path when we have developed that love and compassion. Because without that, we will never walk on that path. Again, I have thirst. I believe in water. I can get water. I believe in my capacity. I walk towards the water source. Okay? I will never walk towards the water source if I don't believe that I can get there. I will never believe that I can get to the water source if I don't believe in the water. And I will never look forwards to the water if I don't want to get out of thirst. Okay? So, similar to that, first we must develop this deep, strong sense of compassion towards others. And this will give us the strength, the motivation to walk on the path to enlightenment. Otherwise, that will not happen. So, it is said that that strong love and compassion, it is as water that nourishes the seed. They said it's just like water that is important in the beginning, in between, and in the end. The example that is given is when there is a seed. This seed needs water to be moistured and to, how do you say that in English? To sprout. Okay? It will never sprout, germogliare, no? It will never sprout without water. Okay? Once it sprouts, it starts growing until it can become a strong, big tree that can give fruits. But on the process from the sprout until it becomes a big tree, without water, it will not happen. It's the same water that will allow that process, that will nourish the tree gradually, from the seed until it becomes a full tree. And it's the same water that will allow that tree to give fruits. Okay? So the water is important in the beginning, in between, and in the end. Similar to that, water is love and compassion. It's love and compassion that will moisture our seed of enlightenment and will sprout, allowing it, when the sprout generates, when we develop the strong intention, I want to become a Buddha to help sentient beings, when we develop bodhicitta. So who allows that intention to be developed? love and compassion. In the whole path of enlightenment until we become a Buddha, what is going to give us the strength to go on that path? Bodhicitta, with love and compassion. And once we become a Buddha, what is the strength that will allow us to help others? Love and compassion. Okay? So love and compassion, which is two manifestations of the same, no, Maitri and Karuna, is fundamentally important in the very beginning of our path, during the whole path, and in the end. Okay? So, on the basis of that, then we can develop the other qualities. So this is what we start now with verse 101, which is the part which refers to the actual path of the Bodhisattva. Okay? We start walking now on that path. Okay? So the first steps on the path refers to develop generosity. And the verse says, Lüdang longchu tusum getso che, simchen rang rang döpe ngö gyurte, chakme tong sempelwe menga ki, jimpe parchen zokpar chingilop. Just one thing which I didn't say before, sorry. On the previous verse, we said, we seek your blessing so that we may eagerly endeavor to put into practice the 3 Mahayana moral codes, no? Which basically the 3 Mahayana moral codes, or the 3 Mahayana moralities, are to avoid negative actions, to accomplish positive actions, and to benefit others. These are the 3 moral codes. Okay, this is what we call the 3 Mahayana codes. Let me even check here just to make sure that in the commentary that we have, it's going in the same direction. Yeah, exactly. So in essence, there are the 18 main bodhisattva vows and the 46 secondary bodhisattva vows, which, if we make them into 3, is to accomplish positive actions, avoid negative actions, and benefit others. Okay? So, now we go to verse 101. Lüdang longchu tusum getso che simchen raran döbe ngo gyurte chakme ton sempewe mengagi chimpe parchin zopar chingi lob. We seek your blessings to complete the perfection of generosity through the guideline teaching for enhancing the mind that gives without attachment, namely transforming our bodies, wealth, and collection of virtue over the 3 times into the objects desired by each and every sentient being. The first of the 6 qualities to perfect is generosity. Generosity comes from sharing. It is the fact of sharing with others what we have in order to interact with them, to help them to avoid suffering or to be happy. Okay, so on the basis of generosity, there should be love and compassion. Why do I share this water with you? Because I believe you are thirsty and it will eliminate your suffering. Why do I share this water with you? Because I know that you like receiving my attention and I want you to feel happy. No? But on the basis there is love and compassion. That's what is on the basis of generosity. So, technically, generosity is the act by body, speech and mind, starting from the mind to share, to give. Okay? It is the first of the 6 perfections because, first of all, is the easiest one. Second, is true generosity that we develop very strong karmic force, positive karmic force, called the power of virtue or merits, that will give us the support on the path to enlightenment. Without developing the positive karmic force, it will be extremely difficult, to say impossible, to develop morality, to develop patience, concentration, joyful effort, wisdom, and so on. We will not be able to follow the path to enlightenment if we don't have the support of the merits. Merit means positive karmic forces. And the most easy and direct way to generate this positive karmic force is through generosity. And when we act with generosity, with the motivation to help all sentient beings, so on the basis of love and compassion for all, on the wish to reach enlightenment in order to help every sentient being, and with that intention we act with generosity, that generosity becomes much more powerful. Okay? To understand this, let's imagine the opposite. Let's say I go to a bridge, okay? Then I look at people passing down. And when I am walking to the bridge, without even perceiving, I kick a stone, the stone falls and hits someone. Okay? And this person gets badly harmed. Okay? Another thing is I am going through the bridge, I look, there is a stone, I see a person passing, I say, let's see if I'm able to hit him. And I throw the stone. And I hit the person. I said, oh, I'm happy that I was able to do what I'm able to do that. Oh, but I didn't want truly to harm the person. Okay? Another way is I go and I said, oh, I want to harm that person. Then I take the stone and I throw the stone on the person. Another way is I take the stone, I look and I say, oh, I want to harm that person, and all the family of that person and friends should suffer by having this person harmed. And then I go and I take the stone and I throw the stone. On another way is I take the stone, I look, and I said, I have so much hatred. I hate so much all hue of humanity. I hate the whole humanity. Or I hate a particular race of people. Or I hate the whole of humanity. And with hate towards everyone, I want everyone to suffer. I take the stone and I throw on that person. Okay? The technical result is that the person get his head harmed. Okay? Maybe dies. Okay? If I hit the stone with my foot without seeing what is happening. If I throw the stone just like that, if I do with particular intention, or if I do it with an intention of curiosity to see if I'm able to hit, if I do with an intention of anger towards one person, intention to harm one person, if I do it with hatred towards 10 people, or if I do it with deep hatred towards the whole of humanity, can we see the difference of the strength of the negative action? Even though the physical action by itself is the same, according to the emotion that comes with it and the intention that comes with it, which is called motivation, the karmic force is completely different. Is this clear? Now, we look at the other side. You know, I do something that by chance helps someone. No? Then I do that action consciously wanting to help that person because I want something back for myself. Or I do the same action seeing the need of the other, feeling the need of the other and wanting to help that person, love towards one person. Or I see that that person being benefited, it will help many people around, so I want everyone around to be happy. So I help that person. And the other is, I wish everyone without exception to be free from suffering. And by helping you, I wish to help all sentient beings because it's part of my path to enlightenment. And by developing my own merits, by familiarizing myself with virtue, may I reach enlightenment to help each and every sentient being. So I help you out of love for the whole of humanity, for all sentient beings. Can we see the difference of the karmic force of one and the other? Okay? So, when we practice generosity, if we give 1 glass of water for a person that is thirsty, because it's good manners, because I want to have a good image, I am the one helping others, because I'm just used to do it, because I wish you to be happy, not to suffer, or if I do out of love for everyone, if I do it with bodhicitta, the same simple action of giving water to someone becomes an incredibly powerful karmic force. The motivation changes completely the action that is generated, the strength of the action. Now imagine from the negative side. If I throw the stone without thinking, or if I throw the stone with the intention to harm, the karmic force changes. The same thing is on the positive way. I help someone, I give you a water to someone that is thirsty because I want to be seen as the nice guy. I have given the water. I give the water out of compassion to one person. I give the water with a deep sense of compassion towards everyone. The stronger is my compassion, the stronger that positive karmic force will be. Okay? So truly with this intention of love and compassion to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all, to actually do acts of generosity with that basis of bodhicitta, it's an extremely powerful way of accumulating positive karmic force. Okay? So, the first step is to give, which is not easy. Because when we start giving to others, we start worrying that we will lack for ourselves. How can I give this and how can I remain without? Okay. So, to train, we will never be able to train ourselves to be generous by forcing ourselves into situations where we need to give. We need to induce ourselves into this big joy of giving, starting with visualization. Because the act of giving starts in the mind. And then also, together with that, we should start training ourselves in giving into practical levels. You know? Oh, I help you to take your food. I give you attention. I listen to your need. You know? We remember that by acting with generosity, if we do it in the correct way, we are going in the opposite direction of selfishness. So we start to see people around, and we start to transform that love and compassion towards others into practical actions. Okay? And we do it in the every way that we can. Because normally what happens when someone comes and asks something from us, if we find benefit for ourselves into that, we are happy to do it. Oh, you asked me to help you. Oh, but I know that by helping you, I will gain your attention. Then after, when I need something from you, you will do it to me. Or I like very much to have your attention. You know? We can see this very clearly, no? We have two people asking something to us. One person that we are very attracted to, and we really like having his or her attention. Another person that we don't care about. The two people ask us the same things. Do we act the same way to both? Maybe we do the same thing for both. But to the one that we want to have attention, it will be much more joyful and much more fast. And we will do with attention. Why? Because we see a way of self-gratification from it. So actually practicing generosity, it's one of the ways to put into practice unconditional love. But generosity is sharing our knowledge, sharing our time, sharing our abilities, sharing our ability to listen, listening to others, sharing advice and knowledge, smiling, being kind, allowing ourselves to see others. Sometimes other people, just by being seen by someone, already gives a lot of benefit. And we need gradually to train ourselves into it. Because in the beginning we are able to do it where we see personal benefit. So truly we are not being generous, we are making some sort of business. I don't know if it's clear the difference. No? I give to you because I know that somehow you give me back. So the more I know that I can get back, the more I can give to you. This is not true generosity. This is making business. Okay? Generosity is based on what? On love and compassion. I give to you because I want you to be happy and I don't want you to suffer. Full stop. And I don't worry about if you're going to give something to me or not. What was the commitment in the Lojong? Do not expect gratitude. So we give because we love and we care. That's all. And we start to practice that on our daily actions. There are 4 types of generosity. giving materially, giving affection, giving love, giving protection, helping others to avoid their suffering. For example, if someone is hungry and doesn't have food, and we give food, we are avoiding the hunger, the suffering of hunger. If someone is feeling cold, then we give a blanket. It is material generosity, but also we are protecting that person from the suffering of cold. So this is the generosity to give protection. Then there is the highest form of generosity, which is the generosity to give the Dharma, which is to interact with a person in a way that helps the person to develop his or her deeper qualities on the path to enlightenment. It's not just to say Dharma words. It's to truly interact in a way that helps the other person to grow on the path to enlightenment, to develop a clear understanding about what is one's own suffering, to understand the law of karma, to understand that suffering comes from defilements, to understand the benefit of loving others. All of this is the generosity of giving the Dharma. Okay? The easiest way is giving materially. But it's important. You know? Even there is 4 vows of the Bodhisattva, which is the 4 commitments on how to guide sentient beings. And the first one is help them materially. You know? If you would look, Rinpoche, he was always giving stuff to people, no? A little heart, a picture, money. You know, everywhere he was going, he was always giving. Because if I need to give you an advice, and if I want to touch your heart, first of all, I need to create some sort of connection. And most of us, we are very superficial. And when we receive something material, we create a connection. Oh, you like me. You gave me something. Oh, I was hungry. You gave me food. Thank you. You know, that's what the missionaries did for a long time. Still do. I have my teacher, Gelugpa, he said to me that when they arrived from Tibet in 59 in the north of India, there were a place of missionaries, and they translated like the Bible. They had the Bible translated in Tibetan, and they had like sort of comic books about Christianity and books about Christianity written in Tibetan, and so they would invite the monks to come. They give them medical treatment. They would give them food and so on, and then they would give them all sorts of booklets about Christianity, no? And the process is basically the same. I help you physical. I create with you a feeling of gratitude, of connection, and from that you start to trust me, so that you start to listen to my advice, and I share with you my own worldview. No? They were not successful simply because Tibetan monks, or Tibetans in general, are very strong-minded. No? And if you think that you are going to convince any Tibetan monk studying philosophy with debate and so on, it's not by giving them food, it's by making high quality debate. That's the only way, actually, no? So they would always, on their way back, they treated with respect the material, but they would not throw away. They would put it on the trees on their way back. No? So after some time, they found out that all the books that they were being given, they were all leave them in the trees. You know? So that after some time, then the whole thing was not working anymore. So anyhow, the point is to say that if I want to help someone, that I need to connect with that person. If I want to help the person on a more conceptual, emotional, deeper level, if I want to show to the other person my own worldview, first I need to connect. And what's the first level of connection for many of us? Is material. Is affection. Trust. So first we give materially. We create a connection. Then we give affection. Then we help to overcome difficulties. And then we guide on the path to enlightenment by sharing the Dharma. These are the 4 generosities. But the difficulty of the 4th is that we cannot give the Dharma of what we don't have. We cannot give what we don't have. I cannot give you water if I don't have water. Right? And when we talk about giving the Dharma, it's not only sharing knowledge. It's basically guiding in order to develop the qualities, and I can only give to you what I possess. So I can only help you to develop love if I have that same love myself. That's why we can only give the Dharma to others of what we have realized ourselves. That's why it's the highest of all forms of generosity, but the most difficult also. Okay? So, we start by training ourselves in generosity. Remember, here we are talking about training. How does a training happen? By putting ourselves out of our comfort zone and getting familiarized with ourselves within that state. So, how used am I to share materially? This much. If I'm used to share 10, and I can share 10 without any big effort, I start to share 12. It's a little difficult. Until it becomes natural. Okay? 10 and 12, it doesn't mean the amount of money. It means I do things that are not necessarily easy for me. Which has nothing to do with the amount. Maybe it's to whom I give. No? Maybe I'm used to share in a generosity that is polluted by selfishness. I start to try to share in a way that is more equal.
Cioè, mi rendo conto che non sono ancora pronta a donare completamente me stessa. Perché ho paura che magari non lo faccio bene, magari insomma tutte queste cose. Mi chiedevo, ecco, vorrei invece andare oltre questa cosa. Anche se poi ha già dato una risposta.
Sì.
Però
We need to respect the size of our own legs when we want to walk. Okay? There is no hurry to reach anywhere. We need to do our own steps. When we start to see others, when we start to generate first equanimity and we start to connect, gradually we develop this strong urge to do something for the other as we do for ourselves. The difficulty to do the Tonglen is because there is a wall between me and the other. When I see that the needs of others are as important as my own needs, taking away the suffering of others is as the same as taking away my own suffering. No difference, because they are as important one as the other. This is where we need to go. So to do that, we don't need to feel, oh, I'm not good enough. What we need to do is to start gradually concentrating on equanimity. Then we need to start to feel others' gratitude towards them, until we can feel that your suffering is as important as mine. Your happiness is as important as mine. So in the same way that I visualize myself of the past and I take the suffering upon myself, I visualize myself of the future and I take the suffering upon myself, I can do the same with others also. And there is nothing to worry on a practical level, on the practice of Tonglen, especially if you keep that detail in mind, that you direct the negative force to eliminate something negative. Then there is nothing to worry at all. Okay? So, when we come to the practice of generosity, we check how much can I share nowadays, easily. And we see, okay, for me it's easy to listen to people. Wonderful. But I have some difficulty sharing materially. That's where I start to practice. Okay, I can share materially, but I have difficulty sharing things with people that are in that situation. That's where I need to train more. Oh, I'm able to be nice and kind to people, but only within a certain time. When I am tired, I don't want to give anything to anyone. I don't want to listen to anyone. Don't come near to me when I am tired. So where do I need to train to be nice and kind to others? When I am tired. We need to slowly, it's like where we have our comfort zone, we make one small step ahead until that becomes comfortable. Then we make one small step ahead, and like this we grow. Okay, remember, we are talking about training ourselves in generosity. We need to train. Train means to do something that is not spontaneous, but is sincere. Okay? So, let me just check the commentary here to see if there is anything particular. Then anyhow we have tomorrow and then the day after tomorrow, whole life to go. Lojong and Mahamudra donazione takpa pillow. I just check one word, which I got one small confusion. One second. Nowadays dictionary is so easy. Tibetan is an interesting language because the same word can have so many different meanings according to the context in which you put. Okay, so let's see. We seek your blessings to complete the perfection of generosity through the guideline teachings for enhancing the mind that gives without attachment, namely transforming our bodies, wealth, and collection of virtue over the 3 times into the objects desired by every sentient being. And we do that by 4 actions, which makes it a total of 12. We give, we protect, we purify, and we increase. Okay? So which means we share our body with others, physically we do something for others. We protect this support and help that others have. We make, if there is a way that we already give to others physical help, we make it always pure, and we help to make it better, and we increase it. If we give materially, I can give them material things to you, I can protect the material things that you already have, I can clean and make sure that they are good, and I can increase them. Okay? So this is different ways of practicing also generosity. Generosity is not only the giving, strictly speaking, but is also protecting others' persons' belongings, which can be, I can protect your well-being, I can protect your wealth, I can protect your health, I can protect many things that you have. I can practice generosity by taking care of the environment in which we live. I can practice generosity by smiling to people in a kind way, and so on. One important thing, always, do to me up. Do not transform gods into devil. Do not eat poisoned food. We practice generosity secretly. We don't practice generosity to become the generous one. We don't practice generosity to be the most generous of Albagnano. Because if we practice generosity to be the generous one, we are poisoning our food with selfishness. We practice generosity because we want to become a Buddha to help others. Okay? So we don't need to say to people, we just need to put into practice. Okay? And we need to familiarize ourselves with the act of giving. And we do that also in visualization. We do that also in, as normally when we do mantra recitation, we imagine that light goes and eliminate the suffering of others and so on. We can practice generosity through that. Okay? But tomorrow we can explain a little bit more details about that. Or day after tomorrow, depends if tomorrow, now we will check, there is this possibility of going to this Dharma walk. But if it's raining a lot tomorrow, then it's not so comfortable to walk under the rain. It's possible, but it's not that comfortable. Anyhow, we will go the next teaching on the more details about this part of how to practice generosity, the visualization and so on, and then we move to the other perfections. But one important thing of today is to remind ourselves there is a path to follow. Other Buddhas have followed. They were bodhisattvas and they have followed. Now they are all there comfortably sitting and helping all of us. But they have gone through this same path, which now I need to walk on. And the first step is I need to train myself in generosity. Okay? Materially, giving affection, love, caring for others, helping others to avoid suffering, protection. It can be with the small animals. Just making whatever example. It was not done with that total motivation. I did something some other day ago, which was a mixture of curiosity and care. I was walking on the road between Van and Albagnano, and then I saw one small insect. I don't know how to call, like a beetle, walking from the road, one side of the road to the other, So I stayed there looking. I was curious, it was cute. And at the same time I was worried a car may come. So I first thought I take and I bring to the other side. But then I thought, I don't know how traumatic that can be for the small insect, Maybe it has its own path, then you take out, and then where I am, then whatever, So I was just there looking and allowing it to go and trying to protect it before it doesn't reach the other side. But it was a mixture of curiosity and trying to care for it. Okay? But we can do it so many ways. This is giving protection in a way. We can do it in so many ways. Okay? But remember, whenever to help, to give to others, we also need to respect what are the needs of others. We should never impose helping someone. Because I must practice generosity, so you need to receive what I want to give to you. Eat. Then I get upset on you because you do not allow me to practice generosity. I want to give you that and you don't want it. I need to share what the other needs, not what I want to give. Is this clear? When we share with generosity, the priority is the one that receives, not the one that gives. So we share what the other needs, not what we want to give. Okay? Right. And generosity generates a lot of joy. Truly. Okay? What doesn't allow us to experience the joy of generosity is our own obsession with self-gratification. Because through that view of self-gratification, we see acting with generosity as something opposite to our own self-gratification. And this generates a lot of suffering. That's why first love and compassion, with that basis, then we can truly practice generosity. Okay? And we train according to wherever we are. Sa shi peke chukshi medo chan re rab ling she nide gemba de sangye shindula mikde ulwarge drogu namda shingla che parasho ye jetsun lame kutse rabten chi namkar tinle chokchur gepada losan tembe drume sasum ki drove munsel taktu ne gyurchi yedam guru ratna mandra kam niryata yami. We do the swift return prayer for Rinpoche. Dechen gyabo lama heru kaya dechen darba chöge shayene dechen tapshe ngete nimbe chen dechen yabyun sunge dakyon zo losan tembe ninche sipe mi tupden dugyo zime kyon yampor chinle drowe mare mumba chen shembe lodro yarpe ngumbrato gongyo pawo pamu tsonam ki medo dudan rolmo yerkedre kala chepe tsugi shikshintu dacha dungwe soldev yutsamgom shiwe kuyi drowa zumgesu shiwe sunge chedra nawaraje shiwe tuni shembe jamseshi shide semba chimbo tupden dutsi nimbe shemben chu semchen rarang kamda mungoru Dogu tsimtse druban rinpoche, rime drove nyenche nyurchun sho, druban kyonye drove shidretsa, daso namkyan shide tuntu nir, chisi drova shide trongchotu, male tesi kyosha tunzochi, dacha rime chishin drupala, lama kuncho sumge tujinda, kebra tenson dorje shukdense, Namshi trinle maye ton troye tsoye kewa kundu yanda lama dang drame cheki pela longche chi sadan lamge yente rabzone dorje change kopa nyurto vesho chanchu simchu rinpoche make panan ke gyuruchi keba nyambra me payang Kongne konto pe waresho
Ludan longchu tusum getso che simchen raran debe ngui gyurate. Chame tongsen pewe mengagi. Jimbe parchin zope gyuru. Nimo dele tsendele. Nime kuyan delekshi. Ninsen takto delekpe. Koncho sumki jingi lop. Koncho sumki ngodrup tsol. Koncho sumki trashi yisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and spring all the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possano i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni, possano aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. Sem Chö Sudro, Chö Lam Tudro, Lam La Parche, Mi Yong Warsho. May the mind become the Dharma. May the Dharma become the path. May the path be free from interferences. Possa la mente diventare il Dharma. Possa il Dharma diventare il sentiero. Possa il sentiero essere libero da interferenze.